Hi, this is Ted Rogers on History by the Plate. Tonight I'm making some nice British pub style burgers. And if you've been to London, I hope you have, and have found the right pub, I think you know what I'm talking about. These are thick, juicy, delightful burgers. And what I've done is I started with about 3.5 pounds of short ribs. And I took the bones out, did the butchering, and we have that here now. And what I used to do, which was a mistake, was I would add all of the seasoning then to the meat before I ground it. My thought process was that that would distribute the flavors throughout the meat very well. And in some respects, that's correct, except for salt. If you salt ground meat, what you end up with is a mushy, textured burger patty. And nobody wants that. The way my wife and I think about burgers is this. They are not health food. They are not necessarily easy food to make. However, when you make a good burger, that is a special occasion food. And doing the pub style burgers is what we're talking about. This is a super deluxe, awesome burger. So the thing to think about though is when to add the seasonings to the burger. Now I'm not going to do any salt until right before we cook because I don't want a mushy burger. But what I am going to do is I'm going to take my black peppercorn grinder and hold it up fairly high, and I'm going to liberally pepper the meat before I then move it to the freezer on a cookie sheet for about 15-20 minutes. So it'll set up a bit. You don't want it to actually be frozen, but you do want it to be firm. So it comes out of the grinder as best as possible. That's it. And what I'm going to do now is start moving this over to this cookie sheet that I have set aside. And that will go to the freezer, as mentioned, for about 15 to 20 minutes. Then we will grind it up and make the burger patties. Stick around because there are some tricks to actually making a good burger patty. See you in a few. Welcome back. Now, I grind my own meat about 90% of the time, and I do it for several specific reasons. First of all, the Washington Post reported that any one hamburger at certain large retail hamburger joints can contain meat from up to 100 cows. That's not something that makes us feel really good about anything. As well, ABC News has produced a show that brought to light the fact that 70% of the ground beef purchased in grocery stores contains the product known as pink slime. Well, I'm going to tell you this is not a fat-free and any means burger that I'm making. I do try to single source, make sure the meat comes from one cow, and make sure that there aren't any chemicals added, which is why that I take the time to actually butcher the meat. I use short ribs usually for burgers, and grind it myself. And the taste cannot be beat. I use the small wheel. And the beef has been in the freezer now for about 20 minutes. I use the electric grinder because I'm lazy, but I remember watching my grandmother use a hand grinder, and that works just as well and is very, very cost efficient. Okay, what I've done now is I've taken that beautiful freshly ground beef and I've made 4 different balls, the size basically of a not a golf ball, but about a baseball size, maybe a little bit larger. And you'll see what I did here on the first one. I made, and I'll just duplicate that here. I'm going to mash that down, but then what I'm going to do is I do a dimple in the center. And what you're trying to do is work with the beef about as little as possible, because you don't want to get the proteins to start to bind up together. But you want a dimple in the middle. And what I've done is I've made these patties about 1/4 inch bigger around, diameter wise, than the buns that they're going to go on. That way, between the dimple and the size of the patty, diameter of the patty, I think we've all had that problem where we put a burger on the grill and what we pull off of the grill looks more like this than like this, because the meat pulls together towards the center. So by putting a large dimple there in the center, that makes it so when the burger pulls together, there won't be a dimple in the center when we're done. It'll be flat, but it'll stay just about the same shape. And so you won't have a problem with that dreaded gap problem in the bun to meat ratio for your burger. So we're just going to continue that, lightly tap these down, form that dimple. Isn't that looking good? And try not to overwork the meat. There's that dimple. And there we go. And so what we're going to do now is put these in the refrigerator until it's time to fire up the grill. Notice that I want to get this one a little bit broader. Uniformity is a big thing for me. I like everybody's burger to taste just about the same. So notice though that we still have not used any salt. We're not going to use any salt at all until just before we put these on the grill. And right before we put these on the grill, we're going to hit them with a good layer of salt. Don't go stingy on the salt. And I use kosher salt when I do my burgers. But we're also going to hit them with a splash of Worcestershire sauce. Just right in that dimple and evenly across, just right when they go onto the fire. Again, we're trying to do these as British style pub burgers. So we're using also extra sharp British cheddar cheese to go with these. Give these a try. I think you're going to like these. Okay, we're just about getting ready to put these on the grill now, and so now it's time to start adding the salt. I've got the kosher salt over here. What I'm going to do, I go up high when you do this so you can get the maximum even distribution of the salt. And apply the salt liberally. Very, very liberally. Again, this is kosher salt, so it's not as salty as table salt. Do this one. So again, very liberally on the salt. And these are again British pub style burgers. So with that, I know it may look like it's too much. Trust me, it's not going to be. I'm going to add some Worcestershire sauce. Just splash that around on each. And these are ready to go on the grill. This may seem counterintuitive, but what I've done here is I've heated up the grill. I've used the 2 left burners, had those on, but on the right side I left the burner off. And I covered the grill until it got up to about 450, 500 degrees. Then I put the burgers on the side that does not have the flame, and now we're going to close this and cover it for about 10 minutes. So while those burgers are cooking on the cool side of the grill for the next 10 minutes or so, what I'm going to do is I'm going to liberally let's turn it around so it works, liberally olive oil, spread olive oil on a couple of onion slices. And they're fairly thick slices, almost a 1/4 inch each. So that's good on that guy. And what we're going to do then is take this one, put him there. Onions are very heavily used in British cuisine. And what we're going to do is grill these guys up. We're going to put them on the cool side of the grill when we move the burgers over to the hot side of the grill. Now what I've done in the interim is I've toasted several onion buns with some garlic butter, and on the bottom bun I smeared some nice stone ground mustard, then some red leaf lettuce, topped that with a piece of the delightful English cheddar, and then over here we have those tomatoes that I prepped in the previous episode because Glenda loves tomatoes. I salted them, used the salt to draw the water out, so what she's going to taste when those tomatoes are on the burger is not any of the water in the fruit, she's going to taste the tomato. Okay, now, so what I've done is I've just moved these over from the cool side of the grill to the hot side of the grill, and they'll stay here for about 2 minutes, then I'll rotate them to get the proper grill marks, and then another 2 minutes, and then I'll flip them over. Okay, now I flipped these bad boys over. They have good grill marks. They're going to sit there for about another 1.5 minutes on this rendition for just to get some good grill marks there. I'm going to give them a 1/4 turn, another minute, 1.5 minutes, and then we will plate up. Now then, what I've done, you can see that I have the onions on over here grilling. I've added I've done the 1/4 turn, then I've added the slice of cheese to each, and because Glenda and I like jalapenos, I've added jalapenos to each. What I'm going to do after that is top this with another slice of cheese. Okay, so the onions are grilled, the burgers are done, we're plated up. All I'm going to do is add the condiments. For my wife and I, we both like mayonnaise and ketchup, but that's up to you guys. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope this was helpful, and I hope you try this recipe. This is Ted Rogers on History by the Plate.